6 true scary horror stories from Reddit. Our first frightening tale comes from the backwoods. A hiker was breaking in his new night vision goggles at his usual secluded hunting spot. He noticed an old truck parked there, which was odd since he'd never seen another soul there in 10 years. Shrugging it off, he headed into the woods. That's when he heard crying, like someone wailing about the end of the world. He ran toward the sound, worried someone was hurt. In a clearing, he found a woman flailing, hanging from a tree branch. He tried to help her down, but she fought him, kicking and screaming. He finally cut her loose with his knife, accidentally cutting her neck in the process. She fell hard and just stared at the sky, sobbing. Not knowing what else to do, he carried her back to his truck and rushed her to the hospital. He made up a story about a gym accident, not wanting to get in trouble. The police questioned them both and she confirmed his story. Weeks later, he got a call from her. She explained she was an exchange student who had been assaulted. Not wanting to shame her family, she tried to end it all. They kept in touch and eventually fell in love, marrying a few years later. Goes to show, love can bloom in the strangest of circumstances. Our next terrifying tale takes us on a late-night drive. A couple was cruising down a remote highway when they saw a Greyhound bus pulled over, surrounded by shaken passengers and police. Traffic was backed up for miles. They turned around to a sketchy motel to wait it out. Later that night, the news reported a frenzied knife attack on the bus. A man murdered and partially ate another passenger. A literal road trip from hell. From the backroads to the basement, this next story will make you think twice about exploring a new home. A woman and her young daughter moved into a suspiciously cheap house. The daughter was terrified to sleep in her room, insisting a burning, screaming lady haunted the corner. The mom brushed it off as night terrors. Until one day, the whole house filled with the unmistakable stench of burning flesh. They ran outside, the little girl shrieking about the screaming lady. The smell didn't dissipate until morning. Turns out some secrets are better left buried. Now let's head to the woods for a brush with the supernatural. A group of friends were camping in an area known for a gruesome Native American massacre. As they explored the forest at night, they felt watched. Suddenly, they heard the most blood-curdling scream imaginable. It lasted 15 seconds, then dead silence. They bolted back to the car, but not before one camper glimpsed a tall, skinny figure with long arms reaching around a tree, 9 feet off the ground. The scream, the figure, the oppressive feeling of being stalked, classic skinwalker encounter. Proof that some legends are all too real. This next story shows that when it comes to creepy encounters, kids say the darndest things. 2 cousins were visiting their grandmother's new assisted living home. The younger cousin, only 5, was napping in the rec room when she started screaming for her mom. She cried about hearing the screaming lady from her room. Her older cousin and uncle went to check it out. No screaming lady, but an overwhelming stench of burnt hair and charred flesh that dissipated as quickly as it appeared. Kids are perceptive, and sometimes see what adults can't, or won't. Bringing things close to home, this last tale comes from a woman's own bedroom. For years, she suffered from night terrors. One night, she woke to find herself holding hands with a shadowy figure. As she focused her eyes, she saw it wasn't her husband's hand, but a third, pale, claw-like hand. Behind her husband, a woman with long black hair sat up, stared at her, then laid back down. She stroked the hand with her thumb, assuming it was a dream. She didn't tell her husband, not wanting to scare him off. Years later, she mentioned the incident in passing. His face went white. He confessed to a recurring childhood nightmare of a black-haired woman trying to grab his hand. The same woman. He always woke up before she could get him, looks like she found a way, and a new hand to hold. Let this be a warning, the monsters from our nightmares might just be real. So there you have it, a smorgasbord of real-life horror to send tingles down your spine. And don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons for more weekly creeps and chills.